Welcome back. I listened to Huey P. Newton's of the Black Panther Party's voice after reading that he was quite soft spoken and did not have the type of voice or style often linked to revolutionaries. This was very endearing to me, so I'll be reading most of his own words, but first allow me to share something that really resonated with me. Quote, I'm actually a rather shy individual. I wouldn't consider myself to be very charismatic. I never did anything hero like. I just worked on some little community programs. I do have a role to play, however. I'm a theorist of sorts. I work on theories, but I really do not enjoy discussing the details of my personal life except as it relates to the movement. I hate cameras, microphones stuck up in my face. To tell you the truth, I hate stages because they put you on a stage and expect for you to entertain them. And I keep trying to tell them I'm not an entertainer. Came to New York and I was supposed to speak at the Apollo Theater, 125th Street. And somebody called me and said, Huey, we're going to have to cancel the rally. Somebody's going to assassinate you from the balcony. I said, listen, if I'm ever foolish enough to get up on a stage at the Apollo Theater, they wouldn't need to assassinate me. That man will just come out and hook me off the stage. What's his name? The Sandman? Yeah, the Sandman cometh. End quote. Huey Percy Newton was born on February 17, 1942 in Monroe, Louisiana. He was the youngest of 7 siblings. His parents were Walter and Amelia Newton. His father was a Baptist minister and both parents were sharecroppers. Sharecropping is a farming job closely resembling slavery. His father was almost lynched for standing up to a white overseer. The family fled the South as a result of this incident and as a part of the Great Migration, and they moved to Oakland, California. Newton, speaking about the principles he learned from his father, said, quote, and my father came out to California with another good friend of his who was also trying to support a large family. And this friend of his got a job with the Oakland Public Works Department, something like that. But he quit that job because he took a new job with the Oakland Police Department. He must have been one of the first black police officers on the force. We're talking way back in 1952, 53, something like that. And my father broke friendship with him. Not because he joined the police force. He had to support his family just like my daddy. He broke his friendship with him because his friend was only allowed to arrest black people. So my father broke friendship with him on principle, because that's the kind of man my father was. He was a man of high standing principles. Newton also said, my parents taught me to be unafraid of life and therefore unafraid of death. They were both very much involved in the NAACP through their church. My father was in fact a man of the church, small man, wasn't very tall, but whenever he stood up in the pulpit on Sunday morning, he was the tallest man in the world to me. Hard-working man. He worked 3 or 4 jobs simultaneously to support us. He had to. There were 7 children in the family. I'm the youngest one of 7. We were poor. Of course, I didn't know what that meant at the time. All I knew was that my father was away from home quite often. And I resented him for that at the time. But now I realize that he did it because he loved us, and we love him in return, even though he was what you might call a benevolent tyrant. There was only one way of doing anything in the world, and that was always my daddy's way. The school system was ill-prepared for the migrants from the South and failed Newton. He graduated high school without knowing how to read. Later, he was encouraged by an older brother to pursue an education. During this time, he engaged in juvenile behaviors that are criminalized. Newton said, quote, I got myself together as a young adult and went on to law school, which made my parents very happy, because they figured I'd graduate from law school, take the bar, pass the bar, and make a lot of money. And of course I dropped out, which disappointed them greatly. They saw it as a form of ingratitude. After all, they had sacrificed for me. But to tell you the truth, the only reason I started studying the law in the first place was so that I could become a better burglar. It's true, the first college course I ever signed up for back in junior college was a course in criminology because I wanted to be a criminal. But I didn't know which type, so I figured I'd take a course in criminology. Maybe that would help me to make up my mind. I was a big time fool, and that's why I have confidence in knowing what a big time fool looks like. Newton taught himself how to read. He attended various schools, including Merritt College, where he joined the Afro American Association and successfully advocated for the first African American history course. Newton finally received a bachelor's degree and a PhD from the University of California at Santa Cruz. In October 1996, Newton, as the Minister of Defense and Bobby Seale as the chairman, co-founded the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, BPP. The BPP principles were based on the views of Malcolm X. Newton studied the works of Marx, Lenin, Mao, and Frantz Fanon. He dreamed of a socialist liberation that would end exploitation all over the world. Newton gained international support for the movement when he visited China in 1970, where he received a warm welcome from many people. When he returned to the US, he was tried for various violent offenses, including assault and murders. He fled to Havana, Cuba, to avoid persecution or prosecution, where he remained for 3 years. When he returned to the US, he was acquitted of all the charges. However, in 1971, there was an ideological rift in the Black Panther Party. Newton wanted to focus on serving the African American community, and Eldridge Cleaver wanted to create relationships with international revolutionary movements. This erupted in violence and even the deaths of members of the factions. The US government made several attempts on Newton's life, and there are those who believe that when he was finally murdered in West Oakland by Tyrone Williams of the Black Guerrilla Family Gang, the US government might have been behind it, as the US government was behind the killing of Malcolm X. That, my friends, is Huey P. Newton. Thanks for listening.